Right, so let's get on to the next part of the build. I do need to clean a lot of stuff up here in the engine bay, but it's looking very clean and very workable. So what I might do now is let's test fit the 4J. I think that's pretty important to make sure the gearbox mounts are going to work and all the engine mounts as well. So yeah, let's test fit that in there, and then I can successfully claim on the internet that I have a 4JJ1 inside of an 80 series. So yeah, let's do that. Right, first step on this one here is to actually clean up this transfer case. It is absolutely filthy. Let me show you how bad it is. As you can see, there's about 30 years worth of grease and grime on this thing. It is absolutely disgusting. So we're going to take this out on the driveway, give it a degrease and a hose down. All right, as we know from getting this out, this thing weighs an absolute ton. Not quite, but nearly. Quick little degrease, and yeah, just going to blast some of this. All right, how good. Now that that is cleaned out the front, I'm just going to hit that a couple times with the degreaser. But in the meantime, we're going to be fitting up this 4J. So yeah, I've just got the mounts just sitting there for now. I'll show you how those bolt in just a second, but yeah, it's all sitting in there. Going to get the crane over, unbolt the 4J from the stand, and we can test fit it in the 80 series Land Cruiser. How good, let's get it done. All right, here we go, exciting part here. The mounts are in, fit up absolutely beautifully. So this uses the stock standard 4J engine mount, rubbers with the little pin adapter, so that sort of centers the engine on both sides. And then these are the kits here from Aussie 4J adapters. That's the plate. I've just got them loose at the moment just while I fit the engine, but yeah, can't get much easier than that. All just bolts in beautiful. All right, let's get this 4J in. All right, we've got the 4J on the crane. Engine mounts are in, adapters are in. Let's see if we can slot this thing in here without doing too much carnage. Look, in comparison with the 1HZ, I can just notice now that it's such a, I know it's 2 cylinders less, but it's such a compact engine. It's a lot shorter, obviously, lack of cylinders, but width too. It just seems to not have all the accessories so far spread out. So I'm hoping it will slot in here nice and easy. So yeah, let's give this a go, see what happens. That seems to be a common theme for this build. Let's give it a go and see what happens. I've been waiting for this 4J to go into this 80 for so long. Today seems to be the day, so slow and steady, slow and steady. There we go. Like a glove, like it was meant to be in there. Whoa, beautiful. Not quite there yet, but I think I've run out of space a little bit. Looking good. So I reckon I'm going to be hard pressed getting this in here with the turbo. Well, maybe just the exhaust manifold here on. That looks way too tight. I still have to go back another half a foot. This side looks okay if I get it down a little bit lower. So that's looking not too shabby. But yeah, initial thoughts are, wow, it's actually a lot shorter. It's looking good. I'm only going to come back about that far. Should fit pretty okay with the radiator. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Let's move it back another 100 mil. Well, not swing it, but let's move it without damaging anything. Let me quickly show you what's happening. I'm trying to keep this exhaust piece on because I do want to see where it's going to sit at the end, but I might quickly take this off. But looking very good on this side. It's just touching the mount there. This side's a bit close, but look, we're doing okay. It's sort of tilted over a bit because it's touching that mount, but yeah, looking really good. That's the 4J in the 80. We're nearly there, so I want to get it down on these mounts here now and just see how this sits. So let me take that exhaust off and yeah, I'll come back to you. All right, so I unbolted that exhaust manifold off the back of the turbo. It made it a heck of a lot easier to get this thing in. we successfully have a 4JJ1 bolted into the 80 series Land Cruiser. Thank you, Michael from Aussie 4J Adapters for the mounts. They worked an absolute treat. So easy, just bolted straight down. I did have to take the exhaust manifold off the turbo just because I was hitting the aircon line here. I don't need that one anyway, but I just thought it'd be easier to quickly unbolt that to get this bolted in. I'm going to give you a quick run around now of the engine, first impressions, how it's sitting in the engine bay, and then I think we might wrap it up there for the day. I've been busting my bums in the heat to get this one done. Even with my little AC, you might be able to hear pumping on me. It's very, very hot. But we now have a 4JJ1 80 series Land Cruiser. It is bolted down. I've got the crane on it purely just to tilt it forwards. It's bolted down to the chassis, as you can see down the side there. Just to tilt it forward, obviously, because there's no gearbox on there. So first impressions, honestly, I just stood up to have a bit of a look. So let's have a bit of a look-see. The turbo area for the exhaust manifold, it gets a little bit tight if you were to try and keep these AC lines, but luckily with the kit that Michael from Aussie 4J provides, those AC lines will get moved to the other side, so that's fine. Master cylinder here is going to be disappeared. Obviously we're swapping this to an auto, so this will get very tight with a manual if you were trying to do it that way. Just FYI, but the auto, we should have a pretty clean slate down there to run the turbo. Sitting off the firewall pretty well, so I should be able to get to the top of the gearbox mounts, which is really nice. It looks like it's gonna sit height-wise under the bonnet, which is fantastic. The front actually isn't as far back as what I thought it was going to be, which is probably good because when the fan gets bolted onto here, it's probably going to be close enough to the radiator where we don't need to do a custom shroud, which is really nice. And it dodges everything beautifully down the side here. Absolutely loving the way this is sitting in here. We'll come around to the other side. Power steering's down nice and low. That's not a steering arm or anything. That's just a support arm. It's probably a special name for it. The bottom one is, top one doesn't move, so this is plenty of clearance here for that. Down this side, bucket loads of clearance. Absolutely bucket loads. That is really, really cool how much space there is to work with down there, which is going to be good for intercooler piping and stuff. I'm going to put the airbox in and see how that sits, but yeah, around the back there, yeah, plenty of space. My only question mark of this thing so far is how this is going to sit. You might be able to see, here's the height of the top clip here, and there's the intake right up and above. So we may need to get a aftermarket intake manifold, which will bring the intake down into here. But overall, pretty good, and it's sitting in there extremely well. Well, yeah, as I said, first look, first walk around here, it's sitting fantastic. I'm super happy on how this 4J is sitting in the engine bay. It looks like it was meant to be in there, to be honest. The brackets look factory, everything looks nice and neat. The oil filter's easy to get to. Fuel filter I can still get to. The intake might get a little bit tight, but we will see how we go. Exhaust looks fantastic to put the exhaust dump pipe down the end there. So we're looking very good. I'm extremely stoked. Thank you once again for Michael from Aussie 4J Adapters for providing this kit to bolt the 4J into the 80 series. It works an absolute treat, and I'm stoked to get this thing running. So like and subscribe down below. Hope you stay tuned for the other episodes because we've got some really cool stuff coming. This is going to come back out. Performance parts are going on. Nice turbos, and then we can start bolting it back together and start looking at the wiring, and then we get it all wired up, get it running, and get it out this door. Super stoked. Stay tuned for the next episode. Hope you enjoyed.